wife and I and our 1-year-old son were rear-ended by a semi. When I woke up, my wife had told me that I broke my neck and I might not walk again. The advocates came, and I feel like I was put on a hand and just taken. We're still getting better every day thanks to the advocates.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming.
What
Do you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin? All you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, how are you? Hi. The Monty Show. Jake's just going to be over here coughing into the microphone.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Don't worry about it. Guy
That's how
doesn't
we
even
do it.
dance at weddings, and he thinks he can cough into a microphone.
Yeah.
The Monty Show presented by The Advocates, theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business, reminding you, hey, it's summer. A lot of your kids are getting out of school in the next 2 weeks. They're going to be busy. They're going to be riding their bicycles. Make sure you protect your kids. If they happen to get into an accident that's not their fault while they're out riding their bikes, make sure that you're ready. Make sure you're prepared. Make sure you get to The Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business, where you can chat with an attorney live online 24/7, 365, and it won't cost you a dime at theadvocates.com. A lot to get to on the show. Jake claims that he was the best dancer at the wedding we went to over the weekend. I don't recall seeing you dance at all.
Never once said that today.
Yeah, you did.
No.
Well, what's the other night? Jake says, did you dance at the wedding?
Yes.
Okay, let me rephrase. Were you on the dance floor?
Yes.
You never danced.
Okay. Well,
Is this inaccurate?
That's your definition. I thought I danced my ass off.
Swaying back and
I
forth.
thought that I had a great performance. I thought that it was a nice
For not having any music by Drake. I thought I did fine.
It was a good time. I mean, the music selection was maybe not the best thing I've ever seen, but it wasn't bad.
What, 80s bangers?
Yeah, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah, we're not making any changes.
I mean, come on, dude. We couldn't get a little modern day, Billie Eilish working?
We're gonna have to talk about your behavior at this wedding because it left a lot to be desired.
Who could I have let down at a wedding? I wasn't even involved in the wedding. What do you mean?
Okay, what did you bring for a gift?
I donated to their fund.
Okay. What'd you donate?
$100.
What is the proper donation? Because I felt like there was some pressure. And we got to talk about the setup of this. You missed breakfast yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to this wedding in LA. It's at this hotel by the Queen Mary. And
the venue is solid.
So apparently we leave. We left the wedding at like 10:30.
Yeah. And I just want to say
Jake left the wedding at like 7.
On the invite, the wedding was 5 to 10. I left at about 10:20.
Minus 3 hours. Yeah, you left shortly before we did. But apparently when the night was wrapping up, the bill was presented to the bride's parents. And it did not include a gratuity. So the bride's parents were handed a bill by the people serving the meal, and they were expecting a tip. And the guy that was presenting the bill would not leave until they tipped them. And finally, I guess they had to get like belligerent about it and be like, okay, we'll take care of it, bud. Like the guy was like all up in their face. And it worked out to be a $4,000 gratuity that they were not expecting and had not budgeted for.
Mm-hmm.
Just 4 G's. Hey, by the way, can we get that $4,000 tip now? At the end of a wedding, you just hand somebody an unexpected $4,000 bill. That does not seem
proper,
ideal. That does not seem ideal.
Yeah.
Like I'm telling you right now, if you're spending 5, 10, 30, 50 G's on a wedding, you're crazy. You're out your goddamn mind.
Right.
I am, granted, hopefully I'll never get married again, but I'm not here for it.
Yeah.
I am not here for it. That's just, yeah. OG Gary says Jake wanted him to throw down some Luke Combs.
Yeah.
Well, we know what a big country music fan you are.
Right.
So we'll talk more
Couldn't get
about
some
these
T Swift.
weddings. Tip culture has got to end. Yes, it
100%.
does. Yes, it does. Midweek Coug. Okay. Tips should always be included at huge events. If not, then not obligated to tip. That's what I said. I would not have tipped if you didn't put that in the bill, dude. I'm not doing that. That extra unknown bill sounds shady AF, and it is. And it is wild stuff. The wedding culture has to end. This idea that you should spend tens of thousands of dollars on a wedding, hell no. Did Jake pull a Sonny Corleone at the wedding? Who's Sonny Corleone?
Somebody from The Sopranos or Godfather.
Incorrect.
Okay.
He's not from The Sopranos.
Okay. I said The Sopranos or The Godfather.
Well, you get one choice. What's it going to be?
Well, since you just said he wasn't from The Sopranos, I'm going to go Godfather.
Okay, that's not going to do it. That's not going to do it. Sonny Corleone. What is Sonny Corleone? No, I'm not going to ask you. I know you haven't seen it. You're an uncultured heathen. Like it's
right.
Fine.
Okay.
It's fine. All right, we'll talk about weddings, recessions, travel, all that good stuff coming up in about an hour and a half. But right now we have to talk about Big 12 expansion. Is it time for the Big 12 to expand? I think it's very interesting that Brett Yormark essentially told you how amazing this show is over the weekend when he talked about the fact that the Big 12 is, quote, open for business. And we're going to get to that in a bit. But we, if you go back on the channel, if you were here last Thursday, we talked about the fact that the Big 12 is for sale. Everything in the Big 12 is for sale. And Brett Yormark confirmed that on Friday, saying that the Big 12 has never been more open for business than it is right now. But very interestingly, Brett Yormark also said that expansion is not on the table currently. And I think that's exactly the right tack to take, because we all know everyone's just waiting for the ACC to come to a resolution, which I am not convinced, by the way, that it will be a meltdown. I'm not convinced that the ACC will no longer exist, a la the Pac-12. And I know that everybody is convinced that the ACC is dying and Florida State is murdering people, and they're not. I think we have no idea what these NIL lawsuits are going to do. I think we have no idea what the long-term unintended consequences of these NIL settlements will be. I don't think there's any doubt that the ACC is likely to get a facelift one way or the other. But I don't think that means that right now, today, the Big 12 should be expanding. And the idea that here we are asking Brett Yormark if the Big 12 is expanding is kind of crazy to me. This league just expanded. You added 4 pretty premium brands in Colorado, Utah, and the Arizona schools on top of the BYU, Houston, UCF, Cincinnati expansion. You've added 8 teams in the last couple of years that have really solidified the future of this league. So, Jake, should we be talking about the Big 12 expanding once again?
Well, I think the problem is that it's always on the table for the Big 12 because of their position in college football. You're obviously not talking about the SEC or the Big 10 constantly expanding because they're the top dogs in the sport. And I think the Big 12 finds itself in a position where it's always having to look at how can we fortify ourselves as much as possible? How can we, consistently be in a position where, the money's good, the brands are good, sponsorship dollars are good. And so Brett Yormark's put in a position where he's going to have to field these questions on a regular basis. And I think you're exactly right. I mean, the ACC situation plays right into, should the Big 12 expand now, or should they be pushing a narrative of, hey, we're not Like right now, like Brett Yormark saying, we're not actively looking for, new expansion members, as he put it. Like, I think they're constantly playing the PR game. And while that might be difficult sometimes, that's the position you're going to continue to be in until you can find a way to garner more power in the sport, more respect in the sport. And it's not to say that, the Big 12 is in some terrible position, because they're not. They're in a pretty good position right now. Obviously adding those schools, the money's pretty solid. Like, you're in a pretty good place right now, but you're not the SEC or the Big 10. And I think that's the hard part. Where is the Big 12 going forward now? Like, what is the mission right now? Because I think ultimately right now for Brett Yormark, the mission is just keep the conference healthy, keep it moving forward, and continue to find ways to grow revenue. That to me is Brett Yormark's number one priority right now. Find ways, whether it's in the basketball segment or in the football segment, to continue to bring more revenue into the conference so that member institutions feel really taken care of. Because that's where all the issues stem from in college football. You look at the ACC thing. Hey, we're not getting paid enough money. You look at the Pac-12 thing. Your grant of rights was expiring, and you couldn't come up with a reasonable number with your TV partners to figure something out. And so that's why I say for the Big 12, should they expand right now? No, probably not, because you've just done a bunch of expansion. But I think you're always looking forward. You're always trying to see, hey, what's that next opportunity? Do we have a chance at Duke and UNC? Do we have a chance at, Louisville or Pitt? Like, that's what I think you're looking at.
I think you look at the comment. Brett Yormark declares that he is not searching for new expansion members. And I think a lot of people took that to mean, well, he's not focused on expansion. I don't know that there's any more succinct way to say than Brett Yormark is always looking for expansion candidates. Brett Yormark is always talking to people. And I love that people are like, well, he's going to add Oregon State and Washington State so they can be travel partners. He could have added Oregon State and Washington State months and months ago and did not. And if you're the guy out there in the YouTube comment section over the weekend talking about how Washington State solves all of the Big 12's problems, one, I would probably go to rehab. I'm not making statements about your current intoxication level.
Who the fuck is that guy?
But you high as a kite if you think that Washington State solves all of the Big 12's issues. I think that Brett Yormark is singularly focused on building bridges with ACC members that he values, because that's where he should be exactly focused. I think Brett Yormark is very pragmatic. He is a very practical thinker. Brett Yormark, he could pick up the phone today and add Oregon State and Washington State.
Right.
Simply put, I think we are in a position now where the ACC creates another tipping point, very much like the Pac-12 created a tipping point. Because I think mostly the Big 10 and the Big 12 did not have a desire to expand. I think the Big 12 had just had a huge win with UCF, Houston, Cincinnati, and certainly BYU. That was a huge win, no question about it. There was not an appetite to expand. But are you telling me if the the Four Corners became available to you that you were going to say no?
Right.
You were going to say no to a football brand like Utah? You were going to say no to a basketball brand like Arizona? You were going to say no to a foothold in Florida? You were going to say no to Deion Sanders? Of course you weren't. I mean, yeah, you had to take Bobby Hurley in Arizona State. I mean,
Right. Right.
But all kidding aside, you were never going to say no to that. Are you going to say no to what is likely expansion? Virginia Tech, Pitt, Louisville. Are you going to say no to those guys? Of course not. Those are opportunities for you. I look at Brett Yormark. He is a practical, pragmatic business operator. And I think that is very good news if you are a Big 12 fan. I think right now we are not in a window where the ACC is quickly going to resolve itself. I think that we are slow playing that situation because I don't think there's any doubt we're headed for a Super League. And I can sit here every day on the show and tell you that if you look at what we've talked about, I think 2026 we will is the earliest window you're going to get a Super League, because I think it takes time. I think inside of it takes time, there's a lot of communication, a lot of negotiation, a lot of stuff that's got to get worked out. I think 2026 is a perfect timeline for that. I think we will find in the fall ACC resolution. And I think it very much could be nothing. I think it very much could be an exodus of the top 4 teams in that league. I think Duke, Carolina, I believe they are a package deal. I think they know they're a package deal. I think Florida State and Clemson, I think Clemson is incredibly invaluable right now. I just don't think
which is incredible. Because I don't understand the value of Clemson with Dabo Swinney as the head football coach. Man, I don't think I don't know the value of any school that has a head football coach that won't embrace portal and NIL. I think that just is saying that's a death knell is strong, but saying it's a pain in the ass is spot on. I mean, you got to have, and again, maybe this is the other point with the Big 12, right? I mean, you got to have some of these brands start to shift in a more winning way. And I think that whether that's, the usual suspects in the Big 12 we talk about, Baylor, Texas Tech, the usual suspects, you look and like, I look at this ranking poll, the odds for, who's going to win the Big 12. Like this is hilarious to me that you have both Kansas schools on top. You've got Arizona, and you have Okie State ahead of schools like Utah. And it's so interesting to me to see this, because I feel like if Arizona and Kansas and K-State are all better than Utah and Oklahoma State, then the Big 12 is in a great place. That's essentially what the Big 12 needs to take that next step forward. You need like 5, 6, 7 teams to be truly good in that conference. Yeah, you can't tell me that Arizona is going to be that good.
But understand that this is ESPN's FPI, which I think is incredibly important to understand, that it measures a team's strength based on their schedule and net points versus their opponent. Expected points versus the average opponent played at a neutral site. So there is a lot of conjecture about this. Having Oklahoma State and Utah dead even, that's not surprising. Somebody needs to explain to me what I'm missing with Arizona football, because I don't understand it. And I think if Jed Fish was still there, this would make perfect sense.
God bless your soul, sir.
I've been fighting that for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, but I agree. Yeah, if Jed Fish was still there,
but he's not.
Yeah, like
he's not. And I'm not trying to tell you that, this is complete garbage. I don't think it's complete garbage. I think it is what we do in the middle of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think this is. The idea that Kansas and K-State in an FPI are favored to win the conference is shocking. But is it really, when it's a metric-based, not real world based formula? It's not.
Yeah, and I think that, looking at that list, I hope for the Big 12's sake that something similar to this comes to fruition, where you've got Kansas, K-State, Oklahoma State, Utah, and let's call it Texas Tech, battling for the top 3 spots in the conference, battling for college football playoff spots. That would be phenomenal for the conference. And when you look at whether they should be expanding or not, that's what they need to make their conference more attractive.
But look at Kansas's schedule.
Yeah.
Look at Kansas's schedule. And I know Lindenwood is I don't know shit about Lindenwood because you've never heard of him either. At Illinois, UNLV, at West Virginia, TCU, at Arizona State, Houston, at K-State, Iowa State, at BYU, Colorado, at Baylor. That's one of the easiest schedules in the entire conference, maybe in the country. You've got some answers at Illinois. That's an interesting game. At West Virginia, at Arizona State's a win. At K-State should be a win. At BYU should be a win, even though I think that's going to be a tougher game. And at Baylor should be a win. Like I think I could make the argument you should go undefeated on the road. You don't have a tough road game. Your worst, or your most difficult game is Iowa State, and that's in Lawrence. So are we really that surprised to see odds to win the conference with Kansas on top based on strength of schedule? Yeah. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah.
Like I wouldn't get that excited about it. And I'm not saying that Kansas is bad. All I'm saying is Kansas has an easy schedule.
Right.
And then I look at somebody, well, what's not on their schedule? Well, Utah's not on their schedule. When does Kansas play Oak State? Oh, wait, they don't play them either. So your schedule's a walk in the park.
They don't have Tech either, correct?
It's a walk in the park.
Yeah.
It is what I'm saying.
Not going to Tortilla Land.
That's why I just feel like we tend to read far too much into this. And if I look at Oak State's schedule, their schedule's not difficult. And again, I just say take all the excuses away from Mike Gundy.
Well, Monty Mullet.
South Dakota State, Arkansas, at Tulsa.
3-0.
Utah, at K-State, West Virginia. Probably 5-1.
Yeah.
At BYU, at Baylor, at Arizona State. 8-1. At TCU, Texas Tech, at Colorado. I think you're probably 10-2.
Yeah.
And if you're not, Mike Gundy should be fired. If you don't win 10 games this year, and I'm sure Oak State James is probably pissing himself in frustration right now. But I'm telling you, if they don't win 10 games this year, there's no defense of Mike Gundy. Shut your goddamn trap and do not come in here and defend. Well, Monty. No, well, Monty. I don't want to hear. Well, Monty. Extra lice in the mullet.
Monty, listen, Bucky's
don't want to hear it.
Short on their barbecue sandos this season.
Don't want to hear it.
The mullet wasn't growing as much because he was hungry.
Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it.
Well, Monty, Ollie Gordon got hurt. What do you want us to do?
Oak State James. Lance Leipold at KU. Well, he's at KU.
Thank you.
Chris Kleiman at K-State. Well, thank you. I thought he was actually.
I love the assertion that we don't know who these people are, dude.
Why is Mike Gundy in this conversation? Anyway, I thought we were talking about teams with good coaches. And
apologize to that.
Big Daddy Magic, if Kansas played Utah, they'd get their ass kicked. I seriously doubt that. Dakota Tubbs, Monty, Kansas doesn't play in Lawrence this year. That's right. Correct. Thank you. That's correct. They play. I'm sorry. They can't play at Arrowhead because their stadium is getting renovated with taxpayer dollars. Oh wait, it's not.
Wait. This isn't. No, I'm not going to do it. Go ahead.
What?
Next comment.
What? Well, the Royals and the Chiefs were voted to have new stadiums by the taxpayers.
Monty.
Head to the other side of the line, the other Kansas City.
I knew today would be shitty.
Okay. Mike Smith talking about teams being added, not teams already there. Okay. Yeah. Dev MC, Okie Light and BYU game scares me. 9 p.m. kickoff on a Friday night.
Well, the only thing I would say about Okie Light's schedule.
Hey, it's Oak State.
Gutted Steers schedule.
Gutted.
If you look at the end of their schedule, yeah, that TCU, Texas Tech, Colorado run there at the end there, that's tough because you're at the end of your year.
Deion's kid is bankrupt. He's not winning nothing.
Listen, NIL is a real problem.
Yeah.
Victimhood.
Security guards and stuff.
Car getting repoed.
I think Oklahoma State has, again, I think Oklahoma State has a very easy schedule. I think that I look at Utah's schedule. Their cupcake is Southern Utah. Then they go Baylor, at Utah State, at Oklahoma State. Arizona, the fucking world beaters in Tucson, Arizona. At Arizona State. TCU at Houston. BYU at Colorado. Iowa State at UCF.
Should be a 10-win schedule. Like, it just should be. Like,
okay, Southern Utah, Baylor, Utah State, Oklahoma State, win or loss for Utah. I don't know. Is Cam Rising healthy?
Okay, let's be generous.
Okay, wait. Leave Oak State out. Leave Oak State out. 3-0. Arizona 4, Arizona State 5, TCU at Rice-Eccles 6, at Houston 7, BYU 8, Colorado at Colorado 9.
Yeah.
Iowa State, UCF on the road. I think this could be, they should win 10 games.
Yeah.
But going to the bounce house in November, I think they have some very difficult games. Iowa State coming to Rice-Eccles. Like, this is what I'm saying. Oak State doesn't have that difficult of a schedule. Kansas doesn't have that difficult of a schedule.
I do think, in all seriousness, if Cam Rising stays healthy and if that defense stays healthy, this could be like perfect world, perfect schedule, right? Like, they could win all these games. They're in every one of these games, 100%. I
agree.
I think real world, you're probably 11-1. I would say is probably realistic. I think that, again, if you're healthy in the last quarter of your season, I think you can go 11-1 at Utah. I really do.
Look at Texas Tech's schedule.
Yeah.
Abilene Christian, at Washington State, North Texas, Arizona State, Cincinnati, at Arizona, Baylor.
See, like,
there are no excuses to get to Halloween undefeated, because then you go to TCU. You should be at Halloween. You should be undefeated.
But come on, dude. 2 weeks into the season, you're going to Washington State. Tell me that's not a risk game.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're Texas Tech.
Well, I agree with that, but they haven't proven that they can get it done yet. Like, I'm not making excuses. I'm saying I see Washington State as a road game, and I'm like, yeah, dude, that's kind of sketch for Texas Tech.
If you roll, but they've lost everybody. That's a win.
Yeah.
If you roll into Ames and you are not undefeated, Joey McGuire shouldn't be the coach. I mean, that's got to be the easiest first 2 months in the Big 12. It just has to be. And you look at now, I'm not saying that they're going to have an easy road down the stretch, because they go at Iowa State, Colorado, at Oak State, West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough 4 games to end. But you look at Iowa State's schedule. You want to talk about a schedule. North Dakota at Iowa. So your rival is week 2, but Iowa doesn't have offense. They don't have any offensive scholarships. So Iowa, I don't believe, will run an offensive play. Depends on if you consider punting and kicking offense. But okay. Arkansas State, at Houston, Baylor, at West Virginia, UCF, Texas Tech, at Kansas. How about that stretch? UCF, Texas Tech, at Kansas, Cincinnati, at Utah, K-State.
Yeah, you're losing the last 2 games of the year, dude. I'm sorry.
We'll see. I don't know. They're very good, but that's a difficult schedule as well. And then I look at BYU's schedule. Southern Illinois at SMU. SMU's going undefeated this year.
Texas, money.
Yeah, SMU, Dallas County, undefeated.
The pro rata we bought.
Then BYU goes to Laramie. Good luck. K-State, at Baylor, Arizona, Oak State, And then look at this stretch. At UCF, at Utah, Kansas, at Arizona State, Houston. That 3 games, really 4-game stretch. And if you count Arizona, 5-game stretch, Arizona, Oak State at home, both of those, at UCF, at Utah, and Kansas.
Yeah.
Who hates the Mormons? Oh, the person that writes the schedule hates the Mormons. Are you kidding me? How difficult that is. Like, that's impossible. So I just win 8 games, Kalani. That's it. Hey, Kalani.
Hey, Monty.
Just win 8 games.
Yeah.
But I think Utah and Oak State at the end of the day are the 2 best teams in the conference.
Both should be college football playoff teams. Absolutely.
And I just, the thing that I need to know is, what am I missing? What am I missing about Arizona? Because I like to consider myself up to date. And I don't understand what it is that, and listen, again, I get it. Noah Fafita, the Fighting Fafitas, as I coined them last year.
Yes.
But we'll see, man. We'll see what Arizona turns out to be.
Maybe they shock the world.
I don't
know
about that.
Yeah.
So
should the Big 12 expand? I don't know. Will the Mullet live up to it? Will Cam Rising stay healthy? Will Texas Tech and the Kansas schools live up to it? If they live up to it and those other things happen, I don't think the Big 12 needs to worry about expansion right now.
And I will continue to tell you, the 2 most important brands in this league right now are Texas Tech and Oklahoma State. And I don't know. I certainly do not believe that my thoughts on Mike Gundy are well documented. I have more questions about Joey McGuire than I do Mike Gundy.
And that's justified. I mean, you know, with all jokes aside about Gundy, like, obviously he's a cut above Joey McGuire. You know, he just is. And, and I think that Oklahoma State is, you know, you should have a good year. And that's why we're so black and white with the Mullet, because there's no excuses at all, even a little.
And you look at Chrome Dome down in Waco.
I don't know what they're doing there. I mean, I legit don't know what to think of that. Is 6 wins enough?
What is it going to take to get fired in like 8 Ball down in Waco? Like, what's it going to take? What's it going to take for 8 Ball Aranda to get fired down in Waco?
8 Ball Aranda.
Somebody needs to explain to me what Mr. Clean's going to have to do, because I don't get it. I truly do not understand what it is going to take to get him fired.
I think at this point, the only thing that's going to get Buddy fired would be like, you know, Northwestern level drama, you know, Northwestern level issues.
Bro, you're 3-9.
Yeah, you're Garbo, dude.
You're going to lose to Tarleton State, at Utah Air Force, at Colorado, BYU, at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, TCU, at West Virginia. Just put your balls on the ground and let everybody stomp on them.
Yummy, yummy, yummy.
You've got at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, Okie Light, TCU, at West Virginia. You should. Well, you're going to lose to Houston.
Yes.
And then you're going to lose to Kansas to end the season.
Yes.
If they lose their last 7 games.
How does he survive that?
And because I think that they might win the Tarleton game. That's a cash game.
Dave?
8 Ball.
Dude, wow, Monty, our defensive line didn't show up that day, so, you know, we lost the game 41-40.
All right, we're 1-64, but Dave Aranda's getting a contract extension.
Yes.
We have so much confidence in the fact that he uses clear coat on his bald head and the sweat patterns I mean, have you seen the way Dave Aranda sweats through a visor?
That's
Who
right,
else?
Steve.
Who else are we going to get to do it at that level?
Wait, is Dave a visor guy?
I think he is. Pretty sure.
Okay, I need to verify this now.
I mean,
God, that would be so fitting.
What do you do? Well, and I'm being serious. You were 2-7 last year in conference, 3-9. Somebody explain to me what you have to do to get fired at Baylor. Because I don't. The answer is I don't know.
Even more fitting. Dave is a no hat guy. He doesn't do hats or visors.
Yes.
Yeah,
Have you seen the tan line from his headset,
bro.
boy? All headset, no cattle.
100%.
When you are losing your hair, you can make fun of those that have lost all their hair. It's an unwritten rule. I don't want to talk about it. Dakota Tubbs, I can't think of a worse thing than losing to KU to end your season. Well, that's why you guys evacuated the Big 12, so you wouldn't lose to. Okay. Steve Stepanek, Kansas State will be in the championship game. Okay.
Okay, man. You know.
Okay. Midweek Coug, Tech is overrated. What have they done since Leach left? Made excuses?
Yeah.
Let kids out of the Connex box. It was
It was a
I
joke.
was insane.
Relax.
I have a dark heart.
Relax.
It was insane. Come on, let kids out of the
I
Connex box.
never locked those kids in the Connex box.
They put themselves in there.
They were getting the left-handed footballs, and apparently the door locked them in.
How good is Mike Leach? Wow. Tech was riddled with injuries. Nobody else was? So Texas Tech was the only team that had quarterback.
Joey McGuire has some leniency? What?
Texas Tech was. I love that Monty. Have you seen that bruise on his labia? Like, do you know the palpitations that were caused by that hematoma?
I think I've hit it every time.
Everybody has injuries. Everybody has injuries. It's not an excuse. It just isn't.
No, you're playing football, dude. There's gonna be injuries.
If you don't have three, and I'm not expecting people to be Texas deep, but if you don't have three quarterbacks ready to step up and play, what are you doing? Can you say that you're prepared if you do not have three quarterbacks prepared to be the number one?
No.
Not in today's world, you can't. It just doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. But, UW fan Jim, Baylor will be this year's West Virginia. So Joey needs fired? Is that what you're saying? Baylor couldn't beat a high school team.
Well, guess they're gonna get that chance against Tarleton, man.
Tarleton. Do you even know where Tarleton is?
Bro.
In Tarleton.
Yeah.
What's the question? Tarleton State is not a laydown.
Uh-huh.
Are they going to beat? No, they're probably not. But are they a rollover? No. I mean, Tarleton is 8-3 last year in the UAC. They play you've got Baylor. You want to talk about a schedule. Tarleton's got McNeese and is that Houston Christian? Houston Christian, the Huskies.
Wow.
The mighty Huskies
Dude.
of Houston Christian.
Yes.
And then don't forget Utah Tech in Abilene. Abilene.
Right.
I don't know what it'll take for Dave Aranda to get whacked. I'm not convinced. But anyway, all of this to say, the Big 12, I don't believe is expanding until the ACC melts down. But hey, you know what? Stranger things have happened, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the ACC thing is the only other factor that would affect expansion for any conference right now. I mean, if you're like, look around, like there's nothing else really happening that would encourage any of these conferences, let alone the Big 12, to add more teams. Nobody, as we've said for months now, nobody wants to go to 20 teams right now, man. It's too much. It's too big. It's too heavy from a revenue standpoint. So you wind up just sitting here waiting and being on pause with expansion.
I don't believe, and this is just my opinion, I don't believe that the first conference that gets to plus 20 teams, that's just so much more difficult logistically. It really is, in my opinion. It's just such a monster. Like, I don't even know how you. Yeah, good luck with that. I don't know how you put that together.
You don't.
But it will be very challenging, in my opinion. But hey, we'll see. I look at a lot of what the future of college football holds. And I don't know that we ever get to 30-team conferences because the Super League is going to change the way we do business. So I think the Super League is very different than a 25-team conference.
Right.
That's just.
It is, yeah. And I think that the Super League changes the way money flows through the sport, and I think that's what you have to consider. And that's, again, bringing it back to the question of, hey, should the Big 12 expand or not? No, probably not at this time. It's probably not a good time to be expanding or changing the dynamic of your conference. But I do think, and we'll keep saying it, like Brett Yormark is someone who is always having conversations, is always networking, is always looking to connect and form relationships with people, because you never know who you're going to need when that time comes. I mean, it's like, again, it's like when he needed to get to Mark Harlan and Taylor Randall and the folks at Utah. Well, what did he do? Well, he went to his guy in Provo, right? I mean, it makes perfect sense. Like when you need to get to the Arizona schools, but you don't have a great relationship with them. I mean, obviously he can call anybody. He can call Michael Crow at ASU, but that doesn't mean that you're going to have a productive conversation. It's better when you get introduced and it's like, hey, this is him, and this is, let's talk. Like, that's better. So yeah,
hey, this is him. Let's talk. That's better.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that is
when you're introduced, that's better than just calling someone out of the blue.
I would agree with that.
Like,
I think, it's all about relationships. Steve Stepanek, what Texas team will show up in the SEC? Is there a Texas team in the SEC? I don't think there is. I'd have to go look it up. Is this a serious question or are you trolling? This feels like a trolling question. We all know it's no, I'm not playing your stupid little game. I'm not. Brian Parrish. Okay, the Avatar.
Oh, so so before you read this, and I'm just going out on a limb here, this feels like a name where someone's going to comment something about you being stupid.
I am stupid.
Or they're going to roll out with, hey, asshole, and then give us their take.
Monty, do you know that Iowa has a new offensive coordinator? Are you sure? I don't believe that's true. His name is Tim.
Oh, hey, Monty.
The valiant head coach at Elmhurst College for 4 years, Tim Lester. But also they made him hire an assistant coach for the first time in 27 years. The problem is Kirk Ferentz is still the head coach. And he fired his kid. And now I could be wrong. Again, little old Monty over here.
Hey, Monty.
I don't believe they have a quarterback or an offensive lineman on the roster.
Lil Monty.
It's early. It's only June 3rd. Iowa could add a quarterback at any moment.
Yeah.
But I think the entirety of their offense is the punter who used to play AFL football. And so he's also going to be there. That's not true. They actually have quarterbacks now. I'm being an asshole now. But the point is,
right.
I know they hired a new offensive coordinator. He fired another Ferentz to hire a Lester or a Lannister, whatever. My point is, it doesn't matter. Iowa is not some offensive juggernaut. Who are you, Roy Marble? You still don't know who Roy Marble is, do you?
Who the f- is that guy?
SMU will be 9-3 this year.
Right.
I mean, with those collectives, how could you not?
The Mustangs.
You know, Arizona kept the big names on offense, but lost so much depth to the portal. They did that. The problem is, and I think we've seen this across college football. It's awesome if you have one of the best quarterbacks in the country, Alabama. But if you have a historically thin depth chart at wide receiver, what good's the quarterback?
Right.
I know if you don't have a center who can snap the football in the biggest moment of the season, what good is the
Alabama.
quarterback? So you got to have quality depth, and you have to have quality around that quarterback, or it doesn't matter. Stepanek says open for business means he's looking for corporate money. Did you know that?
Money.
Dude?
Man.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Bro, Steve?
Should watch the show the last Thursday. Jake was off on Friday, but if you watch the show, you know.
Steve, thank you for blessing us with your
That's unbelievable.
infinite knowledge, man.
Conference needs to wait and see what they can do, as is for a couple of conferences need to wait and see what they can do as is for a couple of years. Okay.
Yeah, what they can do within what they have for a couple of years. Yeah,
I think 2026 is when everything changes. Aaron Wilson, hello. Good to see you, Aaron. Hope you are well. Mike Smith, Aaron, morning, Aaron. Good to see you. Hope all is well. Okay. I like it. No, Texas, it's serious question. Texas always had the best talent in the Big 12 and underperformed. Oh, God. Hey, Monty, is Texas back?
You could have just kept it way simpler. Just simply comment, Steve, next comment. Just simply ask, is Texas back?
That's why not just save the words.
Yeah, just say, is Texas back? Question mark.
Save the wear and tear on your knuckles, bro.
Yeah.
Is Texas...
Yeah.
Are we really going to sit here and question if Texas can compete in the SEC? Is that what we're doing? It's a trolling question, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Stepanek, I'm not playing your games today. You chose violence. I understand it's Monday and it feels like next Monday already, but it's fine. Christopher Shannon, the other couldn't average 25 points per game. 25 points per game. They couldn't get 25 snaps a game. And, Brett in excess Yormark. Tell me what you need. There was some in excess played at this wedding over the weekend. You don't even know who that is. It's fine. Big Daddy Magic. Hey, playa, you're a genius and you're a certified G. You just need to drop your sad devotion to Notre Dame. Man, so if that's been the key to my life struggle, why didn't you say something earlier?
Hell, fight on.
Man. All right, go BYU. There it is. Stepanek. They used to call Roy Marble Little Jordan. Okay.
Okay, Steve, again, bro, is Texas back? That's all you got to comment.
That's all you got to do.
That's it.
Trolling. I'm telling you. Dakota Tubbs, if SMU is good this year, it will be a terrible look for the ACC. And would it be hilarious? Won't happen, but would be fun. It would be awesome if SMU won the conference. All right, congratulations, SMU, the ACC conference champions. And in other news, the ACC immediately ceases to continue to exist because SMU would like hell freeze over instantaneously if SMU won the ACC.
Monty, we're going live to Tallahassee where Florida State fans are melting down.
The Pony Express is live in Tallahassee. Mars attacks. Like, can you imagine? Oh my God, you guys. Take 5 minutes or 30 seconds. If SMU wins the ACC, Dabo's like, well, you know, this is what Jesus wanted. Florida State would sue. I don't know what Miami would do because they're irrelevant. And it would be a classic moment in time.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
And listen, you know, I offer my thoughts and prayers to everybody in the
thoughts
ACC.
and prayers.
Can you imagine if they, oh my God.
It's probably different than what you're thinking, though.
Yeah. You know, The ACC, the heart of the ACC, fuck Tobacco Road. It's Dallas County, bitch. Oh my God.
SMU is back.
The SMU fans would be unbearable. Dallas County, that's where the ACC lives. We won in the SEC. We just won the ACC.
And
Forget
I want
Florida State.
my Omni Hotel deal.
Where's the pro rata SMU deserves? That would be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
The worst thing in the world. Noel Ramirez, LOL, has Jake seen Mars Attacks?
I actually have, yes.
You have
Yes.
not.
Yes,
No,
I have.
You have not.
Yes, I have.
What's it about?
Aliens attacking Earth.
Martians attacking Earth. It's called Mars.
Yeah.
Name one person. Who's one actor in that movie?
I don't know, bro.
Is Jim Brown in that movie?
No.
Yes, he is.
No.
Is Jack Nicholson in that movie?
I don't know.
Yes, he is. He's never seen it.
I have. It's been like 5 years, dude.
Okay. That's fine. SMU is Russia's plan to unalive the ACC. We're going to Navalny that ass. Gator MF gives us $5. Florida could be biggest story in college football. Well, I'm glad you gave us the $5 and you didn't spend it on more meth, because when you say Florida could be the biggest story in college.
What now? Let me tell you what now.
Rashada deal, Napier's role. He may get fired. Hard schedule, historic program that can't get a big name coach. Well, I think that Billy Napier's been in over his head since day one. I think the Rashada story is... Do you get fired for that? I mean, you should have been... Honestly, he's got to be on the Aranda deal because Florida is irrelevant. It was so nice of Florida to come out the other day and talk about how they would welcome Florida State, and we would never stand in their way. Well, Florida State actually wins games before their quarterback broke a twig.
You know, they compete in that thing called the college football
and
playoff.
ESPN kept him out.
Yeah.
You know, allegedly. Florida's irrelevant. And we can talk all day about the Rashada deal. You just don't win games. Right? Like, if you think about that.
Yeah.
Jimmy Otson. The question to ask is...
Don't be an asshole, dude. Don't be an asshole about it, bro.
Does Jake know who Jack Nicholson?
Yes, dude. Yes.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson. He founded Jack Links. Of course I know who he is.
Who doesn't know who Jack Nicholson is?
You?
Yes, I do.
You're so... That's amazing. Okay. UW fan Jim, laughing my ass off. Jake, you're not old like us. You're
Agreed.
not. You know. Florida is getting booty pounded with that schedule. That booty pounded. Booty the pooty. Booty the pooty. Let's look at Florida's schedule. Hopefully Texas is on it, because from what Stepanek says, that Texas is not back.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're a Florida fan, can you win more than 5 games this year with win or loss? Florida plays Miami at the Swamp.
Win.
It's a loss. Samford.
Oh, money.
Texas A&M. At Mississippi State.
Loss.
UCF.
Win. Come on, dude. You can't be serious. You're taking UCF.
Yes. Yes, I am, in fact. Yes, I am. I'll take Florida to win, not Miami. They'll beat Samford. They'll lose to A&M. They'll beat Mississippi State. They'll lose to UCF. They'll lose at Tennessee. They're going to beat Kentucky, right? That game's at the Swamp. Like, okay, so there's 3. Are they beating Georgia? Cocktail party? Now, here's the gimme game on their schedule. And it's, I think we all can universally agree, Stepanek. Texas sucks. They're playing in Austin.
Listen to me.
Auto
dude.
win.
Listen, the
Auto
nomenclature is Texas is Garbo.
Garbo.
Because it's garbage.
Auto win. Florida is pounding that Longhorn ass.
Hey, I got a Longhorn for you.
Like they're going into Austin, and the crocodile like death spiral they do when they're trying to murder people.
Yeah,
Or excuse me, murk people.
Thank you.
They're gonna murk those Longhorns in a death spiral because Texas isn't back. They're terrible.
Waves in opposition.
They're gonna lose that game. They're gonna lose to LSU. They're gonna lose to Ole Miss, and they're gonna lose to Florida State
To end your season.
So I'll give them Sanford. Texas A&M. I'll give them Texas A&M. Mississippi State is worse than Florida State. Or worse than Florida. That's 3.
Okay, fine.
And I don't think there's another win on the schedule.
Well, Kentucky. You think Kentucky? I think Kentucky's going to be hard fought. Let's be nice and say 4 wins.
4 wins.
So
is Napes getting the Aranda? Are we eight-balling this guy?
Hey, Bill, dude, might want to find a quarterback with a reasonable arm.
Listen, William, I just drooled at myself. Fuck. I don't know what you do. If you are,
well, Monty,
if you're Florida and you win 4 games,
we're still NILing. We're really
we're hoping
hard.
to get this NIL deal with Rashada worked out.
But guys, we're not looking to have players join our program who only want to be here to make money, right? Now, Rashada was one of those guys, so that's why he's in the unfortunate situation that he's in. How awesome would that be if Florida came out and took that stance?
UW fan Jim, laughing my ass off, Jake, you're not so old like us, to which Mike Smith says, LOL, UW fan Jim, room full of older folk. Get us a drink, J2H, I mean Junior. You don't talk until you're 25.
Right.
We were sitting down negotiating a real estate deal with an asshole investor. And Jake said something. It was probably stupid. I don't remember what it was. And the guy looks at Jake and he's like, you don't talk until you're 20. Later convicted of crimes. Not even joking. Anthony Eason, Florida has been passed by Kentucky in the SEC in football.
Yeah.
Think about that.
It's terrible, dude. Florida is one of those programs that college football needs to be good.
Florida is going 4-8. No, it could be.
Well, how is that going to make you feel, though? I mean, that's going to be difficult for you, dude.
Yeah, Brandon Butler, Jack Nicholson, LeBron's assistant coach. Ack.
Mm-hmm.
Ack is a Mars Attacks reference. That movie Jim Brown's in. Jake thinks Jack Nicholson is a famous golfer known as the Golden Bear.
No.
Nicholas Nicholson.
Yeah, that's Jack Nicholson.
See what he did there? Bro, love is hot. Florida 7-5.
Where in the hell are you getting 7-5 out of that schedule?
Again, I wish I smoked what you smoked. 4-8 for Florida. I think they may be under on the win odds. Could be. Monty, I didn't say Texas sucks. You said they're not back, and you said they have no quarterbacks, which, I mean, hey, we'll find out.
Still waiting for you to comment. Is Texas back?
The thing I don't understand about, Stepanek, you said, wow, what Texas team shows up in the SEC? Well, you knew damn well what you were saying. Like, come on, man. They'd own it. Jacob Dorfman, hello. It's going to be so weird seeing Arizona in the Big 12 come August. Fighting Fafitas.
Yep.
If Jed Fish were still there and his 37 recruits, I would feel very good about Arizona football. But I also think you're just not getting the financial support you need now because you can't afford it.
Or no.
I just think it's an uphill climb for Arizona.
Arizona's just not in a great spot. And that's the beginning of the end.
Big Daddy Magic. People need to put respect on Jake's name.
Facts, dude.
He said respect.
Yeah, put some respect on my name.
I fixed it. Respect.
Thank you.
Utah goes 11-1, loses to BYU.
Oh, please.
Is that before or after hell froze over?
Well, Monty, is BYU back?
11-1. Does BYU beat Utah this year? I do believe that Cam Rising and Brant Keithy only came back to play that game.
Is there any chance that Jake Retzloff can get into the Heisman conversation?
I believe there is. I know I'm the only one that believes in.
Monty, you're crazy. That's BYU. Nobody's going to vote for him.
I'm the only one that believes in little old Jakey Retzloff.
Right.
But I believe he is elite. I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer on Retzloff. I've heard too many good things. I've talked to too many people in Provo that raved about his everything not having to do with throwing a football. Oh, by the way, he had an excellent camp, didn't throw a single interception, which is hard to do in spring football. So,
yeah.
Caleb Aylmore, they may miss a bowl for sure. You'd think Billy gets fired, but hopefully not, so they stay in that dumpster. How do you knock it? Again, what are you trying to do? Let me ask you this. Does the NIL settlement make you think, we can't pay him a buyout right now? Well, who are you? Who are you? Are you Texas A&M that's paying Jimbo to sit at home and iron his khakis, or are you paying Trev Alberts and
man, that Jimbo deal?
Like,
good Lord,
Texas A&M is just burning money on football. And Dave Aranda and Baylor are just like, yeah, you're terrible at your job, but we don't want to pay you a buyout.
Yep.
Yeah, Napes, you're not a good football coach.
But I think that's the nature of business for some of these schools.
We're not paying you a buyout.
They're not going to cut a chunk of a check to get out of the situation. They're just not going to do it.
Now, Napes, you listen here, pal. You're terrible,
boy.
You're bad at football. You better thank all those rich white hairs who refused to pay kids all them decades ago, because that's the only reason you got a job, boy. Because what else can it be?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. You can't tell me you're happy with what you're doing on the football field.
Can you imagine the folks in Gainesville being okay not going to a bowl game every year? Spurrier, Aaron Hernandez, the great groper, Pervin Liar, Dan Mullen and his hot-ass wife with the football players.
Pervin Liar has got to be one of the best ever.
Now it's Napes and his peach fuzz ass head who can't win games.
Buddy thought he was going to come to Utah last year and beat the Utes at Rice Eccles. How'd that work out?
We beat him 2 years ago. Look at us. We put Anthony Richardson in the NFL. How'd that work out? Shoulder injury.
Well, it's AR-15, Monty.
Exactly. Get the fuck. Come on, man. Anyway. San Diego State, Glenn. Beavs and Wazoo both coming to Snapdragon this year will be fun. Are you going to win those games? Who's going to be the guy that loses to Washington State's like, oh, they're a quality football team? Keep lying to yourself.
Yeah.
OG Gary, BYU ain't beating us. Stop the cap, K. Utah's going 11-1, and they're losing to BYU, boy. You just mark it down. God's a BYU fan in this state.
Y'all reading all this cap ass shit.
Big Daddy Magic. Okay. Real quick. Big Daddy Magic sends me videos on Instagram. And he'll make these wild bets with me. Okay, now listen. If Victor Wembanyama averages one new girl a day, and when I say averages, there's going to be days where he's going to knock down 3-4 of them hoes.
Victor's the way.
If in this summer, Victor is with multiple women every day, but does not procreate, and wins Rookie of the Year, you have to buy me a brand new Bills t-shirt, the red one with the Bills logo, long sleeves preferred. And if he does procreate, I don't have to do anything for you, but you still have to buy me a Bills t-shirt. Why don't you just ask me to buy you a Bills t-shirt? Like, he sends me the most ridiculous thing. Listen. If BYU somehow leaves the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and wins another national championship, not that they ever won one before because BYU sucks, you have to buy me a Bills t-shirt. One of the red ones with the long sleeves. Deal? Okay, good. Like just rando videos.
Who are you? The guy at the end of the wedding asking for a tip? Come on,
Listen,
dude.
if Jake loses he's literally sent me a video. If Jake loses his virginity by June 1st, you got to buy me a Bills t-shirt. Red one, long sleeves preferred, okay? No, not okay. Christopher E. Colorado is beating Utah. Utah has been getting overrated lately. The Pac-12 refs cheated Colorado last season out of a win against Utah. No more terrible Pac-12 refs in the Big 12. I think Colorado is going to be much improved this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're going to lead the nation in players with bankruptcy filings, but
Show up.
I'm not sure what other stats they're going to lead.
That's a gnarly ass situation too.
Shiloh Sanders allegedly. You want to talk about a don't you know who I am moment? Shiloh Sanders allegedly got into a violent altercation with a security guard who then sued him over that altercation. Shiloh Sanders allegedly did not show up in court. There was a summary judgment levied against him for, I think it was $12 million. And the guy is trying to collect on it to the point where Shiloh filed bankruptcy. And the guy's like, hell no, bitch, you're still paying me. Like, are you serious? Come on, man. I think Colorado's going to be very good.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
They will be unbearably good. Mountain Mama. The whole babying of Texas with the horns down motion being a penalty. GTFO. They're not going to get that sucking Texas from the refs in the SEC. Now, listen, we can't put the teat right up to the lips this year because you're not in this ain't the Big 12 anymore. You're in Gator country. Napes is our dude down here. Okay?
I get that. I get it.
Texas' schedule is very favorable.
Okay, Jim, dude, we did this last week with you, right? Like we did this. You said, "Oh well, Monty, Texas' schedule is soft, so let's go through it again."
Colorado State at Michigan, UTSA, UL Monroe, Mississippi State. Then Mike Gundy's favorite school, Oklahoma, Georgia, Vandy, Florida, Arkansas, Kansas, and A&M. I think their potential losses are. How good do we were talking to an SC alum over the weekend, talking about Michigan. Is Michigan a top 10 team nationally?
Man, if they are, they're right on the edge. Like I don't know. I don't have top 15 is a little more comfortable. Top 10, I feel like is a bit aggressive. Like you think about, okay, the SEC is going to have probably 4 teams in there. The Big Ten's probably going to have 3 teams at least. You know, you've got Oregon, and I don't know, maybe it's Michigan, maybe it's SC. I don't know, but I think the hard part is there's so much happening in that football program right now. All the turnover, you know, coaches, players, like there's so much happening.
Okay. You know, how many losses are on that schedule? 1 loss, I think. And it's UL Monroe.
Right.
I think the Arkansas road game, I think the A&M road game, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's the entirety of their that's the entirety of it. Andy Blackwell, hello. Caleb Aylmore. Ask an Oak State fan, I hate Texas as much as the next Big 12 Oklahoma resident, but they are back and at the perfect time.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do in the SEC. All jokes aside, like if Texas can roll into the SEC and be a 9-10 win team and compete for that conference, I'm not going to say that's an indictment on the SEC, but I think that shows that, hey, maybe the Big 12 was a little better than people thought.
Or Jack Nicholson, maybe Texas is really good. Maybe let's get really crazy. maybe Steve Sarkisian's actually a really good coach.
What happens if Texas wins the SEC in year one?
Ooh. I think we need to stop talking about how bad the SEC or the Big 12 is and start talking about how good Texas is. You have the best depth chart in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple Heisman candidates. And why do we have to find a way to downgrade Texas?
Well,
why can't we just say that they're okay, last year it was cool to I wonder if they were back. Steve Sarkisian is a good coach with one of the best coaching staffs in the country.
Yeah, it's insulting to ask, is Texas back? I'll be honest. I mean, like that's just they're a really good team, man. I think the question is, like, the reason that I say, hey, like, what will Texas do in year one in the SEC? I ask that because I think it's a measuring stick. I think if Texas comes out and let's say Texas is an 8-win team somehow, I think they're going to do far better than that. But let's just say they struggle and they're an 8-win team. That's not a great look for the Big 12. That's going to suggest that, hey, the SEC is way better than the Big 12.
Yeah.
And Texas dominated a softer league. That's what that's going to say. But then if Texas comes out and is a 11-win team, pushing for 12 wins in the SEC, that's going to say, hey, yeah, Texas is really good. The Big 12 is probably better than most people gave them credit for. And the SEC is now head and shoulders the best conference, even though I think it has been. They're like, again, and we haven't even gotten to Oklahoma yet, who I still think is going to be a 7-8 win team in the SEC.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Big Daddy Magic. Hey, player, if I get a picture with Zach Milfson's mom at a Utah game, will you buy a Buffalo Bills long sleeve red t-shirt with a logo, please? Hell no.
No.
She don't love you. Do you? Big Daddy Magic, do you have a crush on Zach Wilson's mom? Is Zach Wilson's mom hot?
Nah, she's too crazy.
Stay hard.
She's too crazy. Can't do it.
I don't think she's crazy. I think she's eccentric.
Okay.
But it's fine. Would enjoy it if UTSA beat Texas. I think you and a lot of people. LOL, Big Daddy Magic, you're wild. Yes, he is. Now listen. And
it's funny too, because it's not just like when he DMs you, and he'll do this to me too occasionally, but he does it much more with you. He'll send like voice messages and videos, and like it's not just like he types all this out.
No. No. It's amazing, which is fine. OG Gary, I think Texas Georgia game is important for both teams. Huge. I can see 10, 11 wins for the Horns Down State University. They're very good. They just don't have much on their schedule. I mean, obviously the Georgia game at home, but that game's in Austin. And I think Georgia, while they certainly drive fast in Georgia, there was a speeding.
That was a first team all SRT joke.
Speeding ticket. Okay.
Thank you.
I still maintain they're far more vulnerable on the road because going to A&M is going to be tough to end the season.
Yeah. When's the Auburn game? They have Auburn this year?
They don't. They do not have Auburn.
So that means Bama's got Auburn this year.
Yeah, Bama's got Georgia this year too. Bama's got Western Kentucky, South Florida, at Wisco, Georgia, at Vanderbilt, South Carolina, at Tennessee, Mizzou, at LSU, Mercer, Oklahoma, at Oklahoma, and Auburn.
Yeah.
Iron Bowl. That's a 11-win schedule, potentially, probably 10. Because I don't think Georgia's got an incredibly difficult schedule. Their road schedule, particularly. Clemson, Texas, Tennessee Tech, at Kentucky, at Alabama, Auburn, Mississippi State, at Texas, Florida, at Ole Miss. I mean, their road schedule is Tennessee, UMass, Georgia Tech. I mean, you could be a 4-loss Georgia team.
Right.
Honest to goodness. You have that kind of schedule. Because I don't think you're winning at Tuscaloosa. I don't think you're winning at Texas. And I think Lane Train, Again, a guy with a schedule that if you look at Lane Train's schedule, they do not have a real game until October 12th at LSU, which OG Gary will be at. LSU is like his number one.
That's right.
But they don't play. They'll be undefeated going to LSU on October 12th. Then it's at LSU, Oklahoma, at Arkansas, Georgia, at Florida, and Mississippi State. I think Ole Miss is a one-loss team.
And the bye week comes at a nice time.
I would agree with that. I think it is. I think they're a one-loss team. I'm pretty certain of that. I could be wrong, but I think they're a one-loss team.
I think that Lane Train's sole objective this year is to show that he can beat one of the big boys, because you got your ass beat by Georgia last year, and you were, you just weren't as competitive as you needed to be. And I think that another year for Jackson Dart in the system, I think another year of recruiting, another year of portal, I would think it would be a little more competitive this year.
I would not want to be Oklahoma if they do. In fact, if Ole Miss does lose to LSU going into a bye week, I would not want to be Oklahoma.
No,
I would not. Kaner and Zach will start for Denver. Okay. You like Zach Wilson. Wake up and hit the like button. I agree. We have 350 people watching the show.
Hit the like button.
If you are one of the folks watching on Twitter and our show is blowing up on
X marks the spot.
Roll on over to YouTube, subscribe, and hit the like button. We've had over 1,000 views and only 41 likes. Hit the like button. Steve Stepanek, will we see how good Texas A&M offensive coordinator will be in the SEC? We will. A&M's got to have a much bigger year. Hour number 2 of the Monty Show, as always, presented by our good friends at Prize Picks, prizepicks.com, the official daily fantasy partner of the Monty Show. Now, I got to tell you, folks, I'm not even kidding when I say pimps are going to pimp, right? Like, you guys know that.
Pimps are going to pimp.
Your boys almost got $600 in the account now. Had a very, very good Rory Sunday. I'd like to thank Rory McIlroy for his 64. But I got to tell you, we're getting lean here in the summer.
All right.
Because we don't get the NBA Finals, I think, till Saturday. I think we get the Stanley Cup Finals. How about them Edmonton Oilers?
I'm on a cold streak for the ages.
Are you really?
5 in a row. Five losses in a row right now.
Wow, you're terrible. But you've always been terrible at Prize Picks.
Dude, come on.
I've always had to carry the ball club.
Why has it got to be like that, dude? Come on.
Because I've always had to carry the ball club.
Be better now. Come
on. We have got the Colonial this weekend.
Right.
So we have a good PGA event. We've got Stanley Cup Finals. We've got NBA Finals. And we've got Major League Baseball.
Okay, so look at this NBA one. Right? And obviously, you'd be playing this in advance. So this wouldn't be for tonight, of course. But this is what I'm talking about with Prize Picks. This is why you always have to look on Mondays.
Hot damn. Justin Jefferson agrees to a 4-year, $140 million deal with 110 guaranteed. He's the highest paid wide receiver in the history of the NFL, but the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL.
Okay. How much is Lamb getting in Dallas?
God damn. CeeDee Lamb's not a number 1 wide receiver on a championship team.
Well, he's a number 1 on their team. So he's going to get paid.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because the only reason I say that is where else are they going to go? Like, what, you're going to let him go and then not replace him?
Jefferson's deal includes, I don't know how to say this number out loud. As soon as he signs the contract, they're going to wire Justin Jefferson $88.7 million.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
How?
The highest non-QB guarantee at signing in NFL history. Holy F-bomb.
Okay, so he's getting 88 up front.
The deal includes $88 million due at signing. Is this not the most overpaid contract in the history of the NFL?
Yeah, well, the problem is look at their situation. Again, I'm telling you, what are you going to do?
Who's the quarterback that's going to get this wide receiver that This is oh my. That's a lot of money. And I don't know how for Minnesota, that's a lot of money. And I don't know how you fix that. $88 million due at signing.
I mean, that's a ton, dude.
I understand there was a lot of demand for him. This is going to be very interesting to see how this plays out.
A tweet from Schefter that I think is awesome. Justin Jefferson turned down a deal that would have paid him $28 million a season last year. Now he's getting 35 a year. So he won that.
I don't know what you. Wow. A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Nico Collins, Michael Pittman Jr., and now Justin Jefferson all got paid.
Yeah.
They just guaranteed Justin Jefferson $110 million.
Yeah.
A wide receiver just got $110 million without a quarterback.
Yeah, I was going to say, who's your quarterback? They drafted JJ. Yeah, they drafted JJ. Yeah.
So you just guaranteed the wide receiver $110 million with free Harbaugh as your quarterback.
So your quarterback room is Darnold, Jaron Hall, and free Harbaugh, and Nick Mullins. One of those guys is getting cut.
Holy cow.
So you don't have a quarterback.
Oof.
The running back room is decent at best, right? Like your best running back on the roster is Aaron Jones.
If you could go back, would you keep Kirk Cousins? If you're going to pay Justin Jefferson $110 million guaranteed, you probably can't afford Kirk Cousins.
I was going to say that's probably why they let him go. They chose Justin over Kirk. Yeah.
I am amazed by this deal.
So again,
wow.
The question still remains, and see, this is where the Jerry Jones thing starts to come into the conversation.
Jera,
because if this type of deal it just got done for Justin, you know what Lamb's going to be saying. Now, I agree with you. He's not a number one on a championship team. I completely agree with that assessment. He disappears in the postseason. Like we've seen that time and time again. But you're telling me you're just going to let that guy go after you just brought Zeke back and like you've got the locker room's happy again? Like you're really telling me that you're not going to sign Lamb to something competitive to this? Now, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'm saying, hey, you're definitely not Justin Jefferson, because he's not. He is not Justin Jefferson. But he's probably a top 10 receiver in the league by pretty much anyone's standard.
I don't know. It's tough. Justin Jefferson plays a lot of games, has never had less than 1,000 yards receiving in 4 years.
Okay, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith. You're probably taking all those guys before you're taking Buddy. Before you're taking Lamb. Like
I'm taking Devontae Smith every day.
Yeah. Right? Like
Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown. I mean, I like CeeDee Lamb. I don't trust him.
Yeah.
I don't trust him. Justin Jefferson is, what do you mean injury prone? Justin, injury prone wide receiver getting 140. He's played 16 or 17 games for 3 years. And then this past year, I think he played 10 games on a throwaway season for them. And he's still at 1,000 yards. I'm not questioning. He's not injury prone. He's not. He's not. They have a QB. It's Jaron Hall. He can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
He's gotten chances.
You don't have a franchise guy. And I'm sorry. I'm not sitting here saying JJ's a franchise guy until he shows it.
Yeah. I'm a little surprised. Yeah, this is. I mean, I'm not surprised he got paid there.
Hey, I mean, maybe the thought is, JJ's going to be starting. Let's get him as many weapons as possible. I mean, again, is that not what the Bears are doing? Is that not what a lot of organizations are trying to do?
I think with the Bears, Caleb Williams has been your singular focus for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say the same thing here? I mean, I think Minnesota's behind the curve now, And now you don't have the money to do what they did in Chicago.
Right.
And I would like to point out that Caleb Williams had a massive week of practice after getting crushed 2 weeks ago. But we'll see. You know, K. Nurin, Jackson has not been at OTAs, another overpaid QB. Well, they're not mandatory.
Okay.
They're not mandatory.
Dude,
and he's paying, I think, $750,000 not to be there.
Bro, if you want to talk about Lamar Jackson, don't talk to me about OTAs. The guy doesn't need to go to OTAs, okay? What the concern should be that Buddy's cut this weight and he's been a bit
I'm a little
prone.
worried about that. Yeah.
He's sitting here trying to sell us a package of, hey, I dropped, I think it's 20 pounds. And admittedly, physically, he looks really good. He looks lighter on his feet. Like he's looked like all reports say he looks good. But what I'm concerned about is when he starts getting overconfident and takes that first pop from a middle linebacker after he tried to run for 8 yards. And all of a sudden, my shoulder cuff is a little sore from that. Like,
there's a belief that Lamar Jackson wants to be an elite pocket passer now. And he certainly, his frame certainly says that, because if you go look at Lamar and the weight he's cut, that's not a dude who looks like he's trying to get out of the pocket and run. That's a dude that looks like he wants to be a pocket passer and be mobile in the pocket, and that's exactly what they need him to do. So, Cowboys waited. Eagles signed their wide receiver at a great time. Cowboys are definitely letting Dak go if they pay everyone. They still got to pay Micah. There's only so much money to go around, in all honesty.
But would you not, like, I'd prioritize paying Micah over Lamb. Like, your defense, dude, you want to talk about an injury-prone defense? You need Micah Parsons.
Yeah, and wow. I don't know what you do. Man, you look at the NFC East right now. I mean, Philadelphia is certainly looking for a resurgence season.
Putting in a new offense, though, so
there's always questions about that. But I look at Dallas, and I look at their depth chart. CeeDee Lamb, Kavontae Turpin, McMath, Durden, Cooks, Brooks, Morena Cooper, Johnson. Like, they don't have a whole lot. You're going to have to see. You're in a bad spot there. But you're paying Micah Parsons. He's a generation. He's a Lawrence Taylor type. You're paying him.
You're paying him.
There's no doubt. Stepanek says Minnesota is bringing back Brett Favre. Seriously, right? If you are the leader of a team at the QB position, you need to be at OTAs, even if it's voluntary.
I don't think for that team you do. I think that the Ravens are a Super Bowl caliber team that have shown that year in and year out that not much has changed offensively. And by the way, what else have we seen for all the, he's got to be at OTA people? Yeah, he's also working with Zay Flowers in private workouts that are on tape. Like, it's not like he's just sitting at home. He doesn't need to go through the, Jimmy, learn how to talk the football drills. He doesn't need to do that, dude. What he needs to do is work on his mechanics. He needs to, continue to get better inside the pocket. In fact, I would tell you that it's not as much physical, it's more mental with him. His timer, his internal timer of, hey, when do I need to leave the pocket versus when do I need to throw it away? That's what he needs to change. He needs to stop trying to run for 10 yards every time the secondary's got his wide receivers.
And year after year, they lose because of him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, he's got to get better that way.
Yeah, I don't know.
So my point is, I don't think OTAs accomplish that. I think what accomplishes that is private workouts with his guys running the routes and him working on that technique. And that's what we're seeing.
Bros, I don't know what you do if you're the Vikings now, because I don't think you've got it. I don't know what it is, but you ain't got it.
Well, when you drafted JJ, you made your bed. And so the more I sit here and stew on this, the more I think about, well, this was inevitable. Justin wanted the deal, bet on himself, as Adam Schefter's pointing out, which I think is a great point. And the Vikings said, okay, cool. We're going to draft a young guy. We're going to load up the wide receiver room, and let's see what he can go and do. I mean, what other play was there once you moved on from Cousins?
Nothing. Do you guys suggest they should have traded Jefferson and started a rebuild? I don't know. I would not have wired him $88 million today. It's too much for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
It's too much. Trade Justin Jefferson to the Saints. Okay. He's a lovely wide receiver. It's too much. It's too much, in my opinion. Caleb Aylmore, wasn't it Dakota playing for free? What does that mean? The Vikings have brain freeze. It affects their decision-making. Shouldn't be that close to Canada. Could be. Could be you're too close to the border. Lamar has never been out of shape. I wouldn't worry about voluntary workouts. Well, but I don't think anybody's questioning if he's been out of shape. I think Lamar Jackson's biggest problem, I agree with you, is that he's not an elite quarterback. That's the biggest problem with Lamar Jackson. He is an elite athlete who's got to become an elite pocket passer.
Yeah.
And he wants to be a true dual threat. But I think we've seen in this league repeatedly, Dak Prescott's a very good example of this. Dak's now an elite pocket passer. Is Lamar Jackson ever going to be the thrower that Dak Prescott is? Probably not. You cannot blame Lamar for losing weight. I would do the same thing. If I'm Lamar Jackson, I am trying to become a devastatingly accurate passer in the pocket. And I am not thinking about running. I am thinking about moving so that I can pass.
Imagine if Lamar Jackson's mindset was that, right? Like, hey, I'm going to be, again, and this is why the OTA thing just annoys me to no end. He needs to get to a place where his mindset is, hey, like, I'm so athletic, down 20 pounds, I'm more athletic than I was before. I'm so athletic that all I need to do is run the play the way it was designed to be run. And if it's not there, buy time. Like, that's why Mahomes is who he is, because he buys time.
OTAs are very different now. These guys all go to destinations and work together. Quarterbacks and wide receivers, tight ends have their own university. Like, I'm not worried about OTAs for Lamar Jackson. If I'm JJ McCarthy, Caleb Williams, whatever the hell is going on in Atlanta with quarterbacks, I'm worried about OTAs. In Baltimore, that's a Super Bowl caliber team, and he needs to learn to perform in the biggest moments.
Now, check this out, just on the CeeDee Lamb thing, because now everyone's tweeting out the stats, and this is the thing that helps Lamb and hurts the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
So Lamb and Jefferson. Jefferson's got 4 seasons. Lamb's got 4 seasons. 3 All-Pros for Jefferson, 2 All-Pros for Lamb. Both have 3 Pro Bowls. Jefferson's got 392 catches in that time. Lamb's got 395. Justin Jefferson's got 5,800 receiving yards in 4 seasons. Lamb's got 5,100. And Lamb's got 35 touchdowns and Jefferson's 31. So Lamb's got a really strong case to negotiate with.
The problem is Lamb's mom is probably going to be the negotiator. And Justin Jefferson doesn't drop balls that almost hit him in the face on the sideline in a playoff game.
100%.
I don't trust CeeDee Lamb. I don't. And if he wants to go play somewhere else, the problem is Dallas has to pay a lot of dudes. They have depth issues on defense at the moment. And I'm not prioritizing CeeDee Lamb over Dak, Micah. I'm not. Yeah, and that's why I'm a talk show host and not a GM.
Right.
Big Daddy Magic. Hey, play it. Juice Allen, best QB in the league.
Okay.
I've never heard of Juice. He means Josh Allen. Your obsessive attachment to single players is scary. I mean, you love you some Josh Allen. There's a lot of guys I'm taking over Josh Allen. A lot. A lot. James, I really wanted Dallas to pick Sweat from Texas. When Dallas went 1-15 in Aikman's first year, they drafted Russell Maryland from Miami. That's what Dallas needs, a solid D-line. Well, they have depth issues on the D-line. There's no doubt. Running QBs know that the body will not last as long. It's okay when you're young, but as they mature, they need to stay healthy, and that means less running, more passing. correct. And that's where Lamar is. I get you wouldn't pay JJ that type of money, but I think if the Vikings wanted to keep him, they didn't have much choice but to pay him that type of money. The wide receiver market is only going to go up.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I agree. Like, you're not letting Justin Jefferson go. Like, you're not. So you just needed to figure out how this was going to get done. And I also think we shouldn't forget that at one time, Justin Jefferson was talking about leaving, as he should have been.
Yep. He won this outright.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he out negotiated him. His performance speaks for itself. Like, he's somebody that you're going to pay him. Again, like, it's not in question. And so now the question becomes, as it always does, hey, we gave you the bag. Now, what do we get in return? Because you can't tell me defenses aren't going to double him and force JJ to find someone else. And to that, I say, okay, what is it? Who's their new offense coordinator? It's I can't remember who they got running that thing, but you got to have a good plan for how you're going to use Justin Jefferson to open up the middle of the field. Because if you don't do that, I think you're really going to struggle with JJ at quarterback.
I think that JJ McCarthy is somebody, and this is just my opinion. I think that JJ McCarthy is somebody who he needs to show out now. Like, now you're married to this dude. You're married to this dude. There's no other way around it. Wes Phillips is the offensive. It's not. It's Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell is the offensive coordinator of the Vikings. Just know that.
Yeah.
Big Daddy Magic isn't alone in being obsessed with individual players. You'll find that in a lot of sports fans these days. He's on a different level. Josh Allen will never win a championship. I'm not ready to go that far. Not in Buffalo. But will Kansas City three-peat this year? Probably not.
It's tough, dude.
Probably not. What if Josh Allen and Victor came together for a hot gay relationship? I'd have to get Big Daddy Magic a Buffalo Bills t-shirt, long sleeve in red.
You got to get stroked.
That's the agreement.
Okay. All
that
right.
Feels awkward.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Real quick on Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
Should we save Katie Clark for tomorrow or talk about it now?
We can save her. We got a lot of lifestyle to do today. We can save her, but
all right. What makes a good wedding? My guy over here can't dance. He is white chocolate. I think we all know that. He walks around with concrete feet, slices the driver, and he can't dance.
Uh-huh.
Now there's me. And I mean, I don't know what happened to my hips the other night, but my God, they were flowing. You know.
Okay, recipe for a good wedding.
Not white guys dancing.
Not white guys dancing. No, not at all. Nope. So
do you claim to be a good dancer?
No, not at all. No. Okay. I don't run from it. Terrible dancer. I try my best. I'm not good at it. It is what it is. So what do you need for a good wedding? Well, first of all, you need a good venue. I think they had a good venue here. Solid venue. Secondly, you need to have good timing, which I think was an interesting dynamic at this particular wedding we went to. So, ceremony takes place. I'm more of an advocate for a shorter ceremony. I'm not saying to rush, but I just think, like, I don't want to spend an hour on the ceremony. I think I'm more of like 20 minutes tops, like 15 minutes tops, like get in, get out, get to the cocktail hour. Right. So if you can have like a 20 minute ceremony, have a less than an hour cocktail hour. So be an hour or less. At that point, you've maximized your time in the, hey, let's get fat and dance window, which is the window that everyone cares about at a wedding, right? Hey, let's get drunk and make speeches and dance and do all these great things. Okay, cool. So at this particular wedding, the interesting thing was the food I thought was great. Some of the better food I've had at a wedding. And I went to a wedding several months ago and the food was trash. It's terrible. So the food I gave, like an A+ on. A minus. Okay.
Food was a B.
Okay. Food was a B. So
the broccolini, nah, bro.
Yeah, the broccolini was kind of mid. You're not wrong.
And there was no wedding cake.
Yeah. Did they not say that they were going to cut cake and then
They did cut the cake. You were dancing.
Oh,
You weren't. You were outside. They did cut the cake.
oh, they did. Okay.
But they never passed out wedding cake. I think it was cut up on the back table. Could be wrong. But it was just oddly, that was weird.
Mm-hmm.
But the ceremony itself, fine. How long should your wedding ceremony be? I think 10 minutes or less.
You think?
I think 10 minutes
I
or
feel
less.
like when you're reading and you're doing vows and stuff, 10 minutes is actually a long time. It is.
I would agree. This wedding was particularly good. I thought the music was catered to 80s older folks, 80s music for older folks, which was interesting. I thought a lot of people were dancing. They had open premium bar.
Yes.
So people did drink quite a bit. I had several free Modelo's.
Which, can I just say, like, if I'm having beer, Modelo is the way to go.
Modelo is very good.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting the way the night ended.
Mm-hmm.
So this wedding was preordained, if you will, to be controversial. There were some family dynamics. Everything went fine. The night ends, and the story told was that they were given a bill at the end of the night. And they went to pay the bill, and the gentleman who presented the bill said the gratuity had not been included in the total price quoted. And it was $4,000.
Before the tip.
No, the tip was $4,000.
Oh.
The gratuity was an extra $4,000 expense, not calculated and not expressed beforehand. To which I say, I'm not paying it. If I'm paying you to host my wedding at your venue, you're not going to drop an extra $4,000 on top of the bill.
Yeah.
Without telling me.
And by the way, maybe I'm wrong. Been wrong before. When you're tipping, is it not up to the person doing the tipping as to how much you should get tipped?
Yeah, and the service wasn't that great. I'll be honest with you. There were way too many glasses on the table.
Yeah.
B, they didn't do a great job pre-busted. Like when I was done eating, my plate sat there for at least an hour. My wife had ordered a vegan plate that was late coming out.
Yeah.
Service was not great. And the gratuity was $4,000. Now, I understand there were well over 100 people there. Mandatory 20%. Okay, great. What's the total bill I'm going to owe you at the end of this event? $80 million. Okay, great. If I'm going to pay you an agreed upon price, don't add a gratuity on top of it.
Yeah.
Without telling me. It's complete garbage. It is. I would not have paid it.
So
I would not have paid it.
But you also, and I just want to make sure. So this story, you heard the story the morning after.
Firsthand from the people who paid the bill.
And they were saying that dude that was asking for the tip was like in their face about it.
So, yes. So the person that was getting the gratuity was very much like right here. Hey, here's a check. You need to add a tip. Hey, don't forget to add the tip. Hey, you need to add a tip. To the point where these folks were like, okay, hey, we'll take care of it. And had to like shoo the guy away. And I'm like, how do you not add that? How do you not tell them?
Yeah, how's that not built in?
It's $4,000, dude. That's a lot of money. I would not have tipped. I would not have tipped. And I'm telling you now, this BS tip expectation stuff is gotten out of hand.
And I have to say, I'm very much coming around to the idea of there are some people do weddings where they'll rent a house, like they'll rent a house for an evening, like whatever, however, 8 hours or whatever. And they will like cater the whole thing, not service, but they'll order catering so people can just come up and get their food, which I liked a lot more because then you can do groups just like, hey, your group's turn to come up and get your food. You can do your own portions.
It's a line.
Yeah.
And it works well. I'm thrilled. If I were getting married, this is how I'd do it. I would do it on Maui. I would do it at a private residence, and I would hire a catering company, and I would have them staff the food portion of the thing.
Yeah.
I would, hey, catering company, staff it. I would rent tables and chairs, whatever. I would absolutely do that. I want buffet style catering.
Yes.
I don't want like, hey, I'm going to bring you plates out to the buffet style catering.
Yeah.
And I would want some service staff to clean the tables once my guests were done. And then I would have a cake cutting thing, and I would serve cake or dessert. And that would be it. And I would probably have some form of entertainment, dance floor, whatever that might be. And that's it. That's it. We're in Hawaii. It's a destination wedding because here's the dirty secret.
Yes.
I don't want Aunt Florida and her 5 kids coming to my wedding.
Yeah.
I want my closest. I would love nothing more. And again, hopefully I'm never getting remarried.
Yeah.
I would want my 25 closest people in my life at my wedding. That's it. That's it. And the day before my wedding, I'm going to go play Turtle Bay. I'm going to go play 18 holes at Turtle Bay.
Yeah.
I'm going to drink a bunch of Modelo, and I'm going to drink a bunch of Orange Jameson.
I'm a huge advocate of, hey, do a destination wedding, because then you can give, because I'm not stupid, right? If you do a destination wedding, all the people coming to your wedding can then have a vacation for themselves, and the wedding can be one piece of that vacation. Let them be here. Let them be in a good place where they're enjoying it. Don't do it in a way where it's like, oh, well, man, my boss is really riding me. Let me show up to that wedding because I said I would, and then let me go ahead and bounce as soon as possible. No, I want people in vacation mode, dude. I want people to be like, yeah, dude, let's enjoy it. Let's have a great time. Like, great, man. That's it.
I'm not doing a bunch of pictures. Sorry, dudes. I'm not doing
pictures. How? Like for guests,
wedding
or
photos, and fuck that. I'm not. If you're having a videographer at your wedding, you're wasting your time. You're going to watch that video one time and that'll be it.
Mm-hmm.
All I want is some simple. I want somebody to take like 100 photos. That's it. I don't need them retouched, and it's a racket. Just show up with your camera, take some pictures, and leave the SD card for me. That's all I want.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the Joker. I'm a guy of simple tastes.
Right.
I want a destination wedding and a party.
I mean, I definitely think that the secret sauce to a great wedding is allowing the guests to kind of do what they want to do, which is why I'm in favor of the buffet style catering. I'm like, hey, go ahead and scoop your own food. Like, you know, if people got kids, like you were saying, cool, let them, do that. Awesome. Like, the other thing I like about a destination wedding, like on Maui, dude, I would totally tell people, hey man, like it doesn't need to be cocktail attire. Like it can be like Hawaiian shirt and shorts. It can be like, let's be chill. Let's have a nice time. Like it just doesn't need to be this wild thing, this uptight thing. And this wedding was great that way. I felt like
it was super relaxed.
Yeah, it was chill. Like it was really nice.
The only issue I had with this wedding was this BS gratuity thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, having open premium bar was amazing.
Yes, it was.
Having, a really simple, easy venue to find, amazing. The dancing and the party was fun. It was great. The ceremony was short. That was great. That gratuity thing really, I feel bad for those people.
Yeah.
Because you walk up to me and you're like, hey, give me $4,000. I'd tell you to go smoke a stack because I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I am not doing it.
No way.
Not a chance in the world.
No way.
Not a chance in the world, but it's fine. Any pressure to get married right now? Because you and your significant other were there. Everybody's like, Jake, when are you getting married?
Hey, 2 holes. 2 holes. When you putting a ring on it, man? I don't think there's pressure. I mean, I do think, yeah, it'll happen in the next, probably 2 years, I would say. I mean, I don't know. Something like that. But I'm not like, oh man, I better get married.
Okay.
I don't know. No, I don't think there's a lot of pressure. No, are we next? Probably.
What does that mean? Are we next?
Well, like if you look at the family, right? Like the one cousin isn't in a relationship. You know, this particular cousin had been in her relationship for a while or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it was they were up. And now we're probably next. I mean, you know, like that's probably the way it would go.
Yeah, I think that we put too much pressure on young people to get married. I don't see a need for it right out of the gate. It's not like it used to be. And I think it depends on if you want to have kids or not, and are we only having kids if we're married, and what do your parents think? What do my parents think? I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's like I'm excited about the prospect of doing that. You know, I just think that there's a process, but like, yeah, I mean, going to weddings, like you always think about it. You're always like, all right, cool. Like, you know, like when I went to a wedding, you know, whenever that was, well, I guess that would have been last summer, fallish, where, you know, it was like there was also a ton of family dynamic, and the food wasn't great, but the dance floor was amazing. The DJ, can I just like, and it's not just my style of music. Like there were several moments where like the iconic wedding dance floor song was about to get played, and then it got spun up and edited into like the 80s vibe. And because of the mix of the people, that's what I think, you know, caused the dance floor to be what it was. Like, because there was a bunch of young people there, but there were also a lot of older folks there. And I think I agree, the music was catered to the older folks. So it is what it is. But, you know, I thought overall it was a good wedding. I did. I thought it was a good wedding. Venue was good. Drinks were good. Food was good.
Tanner wants to know if Bucket of Bullets was there.
No, he copped out. He copped out. Apparently. I wasn't in the know about this until close to the end of the night, but apparently there was some type of...
He fell at home, allegedly.
He said what he
allegedly
said.
Are we clear on that?
So Bucket of Bullets is my mother-in-law's husband.
Right.
Who is much older.
Mm-hmm.
And does not like crowds because he struggles with his hearing.
Right.
So he has trouble communicating. He does not like loud rooms.
Which this was a very loud room.
Very loud.
I must say.
And he did not show up for the wedding.
Now, I must say, you were kind of a gangster about him at dinner. So we're sitting around, you know, there are circular tables in this room, and you know, we're all sitting at the table. And I will say, too, another factor to wedding is how you seat people at the tables.
Yes.
They did very well with this at this wedding, which I very much appreciated.
They did.
But we're sitting around and, you know, we're talking about like, you know, SC football, and we're talking about this and that. And then the Donnie indictment trial somehow comes up, and we're like all just having a nice conversation about it. And you decide to go full red ass. Well, your guy is
My mother-in-law is a chameleon in that she tends to speak kindly of the dead, meaning that if she's in a room of liberals, she'll say mean things about Donald Trump. If she's in a room of conservatives, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And my mother-in-law married a dude that is very MAGA.
Right.
And is a gun guy. She's never been that. Is anti-abortion.
Right.
Is all this stuff. And so she's talking about Donald Trump, about how whatever she said that was anti-Trump to fit in with the room. And I was like, well, your boy is huge pro-Trump. Well, I don't tell him how to feel. Clearly. Clearly. He's just that guy. I don't know. I am not a fan, so I don't know him that well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very coincidental that he did not show up to this event. And I just...
Yeah, my biggest thing is weddings are different, dude. You can't cop out on weddings. And
Nope.
I think that you can't... So my issue is that you're basically the new guy on the block in the family, right? Like dude who got married into the family, dude, he's been around for like 6-7 years now. I think it's been, or whatever, like however long. Okay. 5 years.
Fuck no. Like 2 years, 3 years.
Well, they said they had been engaged for like 600 days. So you're engaged for 2 years. That means you were together for at least 2 years before that.
Which guy are we talking about? The groom or Bucket of Bullets?
No, the groom.
Oh, yeah. He's been around for a minute.
So the groom who married into the family has been around for a while.
Yeah.
And so that means that Bucket of Bullets is the new guy on the block. And I just, like, I would have totally understood it if you came to the wedding and you said, hey, well, loud rooms are a bit uncomfortable for me. So, like, you know, like, obviously I'll be there for the speeches and stuff. But once the music kind of gets going and we're going to
take off.
We're going to go ahead and take off, or we're going to hang out outside, or whatever you want to do. That's totally fine, dude. But you just needed to make an appearance. So I'm not saying that I think he's lying about falling or whatever. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not passing judgment.
I'm not passing judgment on that. But I just thought I just think that when you're like the thing is, when you're a new person in someone's family or world or sphere, I just think that you have to do a good job with that stuff.
Yeah. But one other thing. I'm tired of hearing about how the economy sucks and we're in a recession and inflation. So this wedding was in Los Angeles. I walked into the PXG store and I was in a line, and the guy in the line, his bill was $6,700. The guy because I actually stepped out of line to talk to the guy at the counter real quick. And I went back and hit some Black Ops drivers.
Right.
And a driver and a 7-iron. And the guy that was in the hitting bay before me, his order was on the screen. His order was $7,200.
So new clubs, obviously.
New clubs.
Yeah.
And I would also like to point out, I cracked 180 miles an hour, I think for the first time ever, with a driver on Saturday. Was amazing. But anyway,
do you understand
PXG Black Ops are?
Do you understand? And to your point, do you understand like how nice of a bag and clubs you got to get up to $7,000?
You've got to try and spend that much money. And the funny thing is, there were people there that were from Salt Lake City, and they own a huge construction company here in Salt Lake City. Fit for new. This girl must have bought 10 new outfits. Like, I don't believe that we are in a recession.
Right.
The airport was packed. The flights were packed.
Full flights both ways.
The restaurants I went to were packed. People were out on the streets like 2nd Street in Long Beach, packed. Like, people are out spending money. People are flying. People are traveling. People are living their lives.
Not conserving.
Stop trying to convince me that this country is in a recession. Stop trying to convince me that we are, in troubled times. We're at 3% inflation. Is that historically low? No. But is it the 9% we had in 2022? It's not.
Yeah.
Is everything in this country great? It's not. But let's stop trying to tell this story to serve our political party that the country is in an absolute wreck and everybody's dying.
Yeah.
Because we're not.
Well, and I think what's interesting too is like when you start, going around the room, if you will, like when you start going around the political landscape and you're hearing from these different individuals on both sides of the aisle, I might add, saying basically the same thing, like they're getting a little tired of it. And again, grain of salt, it's Colin Cowherd, but I thought it was interesting his timing, right? Colin Cowherd comes out, this past weekend basically saying the same thing you are. Like, he's, Donnie's trying to sell something like, hey, the country's in a terrible spot, and it's not, and I don't believe him. And I thought that was really interesting timing out of Colin Cowherd.
I did not see that.
Yeah, so Colin Cowherd comes out and says, hey, like, he's trying to sell something that I don't believe to be taking place. And He did it on his podcast or whatever.
I was going to say, did he do that on Fox?
He did not do that on Fox. He didn't do it on The Herd. He did it on his podcast. So, for obvious reasons.
Well, I don't even know that it's Donald Trump selling that. I thought it's very interesting, the reaction to Trump's conviction.
Yeah, that was fascinating, actually. Yeah.
I mean, in this belief that it was a rigged trial or whatever. I mean, I don't care where you are. If you get 12 people to agree on 34 counts unanimously, it's kind of hard to say that was rigged. I also think it's sad that you have an entire half of this country hoping he goes to jail, which, sorry to disappoint you, he's not going to jail.
No. And no, I don't think that would be good for our country if he went to jail. That's a pretty bad look.
But I think we're trying to spin stories about how much gas is and how much food cost is, and that people can't afford to do X, Y, and Z. We have real economic issues in our country. I mean, our real estate market's broken right now. The mortgage business is not a business. People are going out of business in mortgage. But let's not sit here and pretend that you can't afford to rent. It's one of the great fibs of our time. Oh, we need more housing. We don't need more housing. We need more affordable housing.
Right.
We don't need $1 million mansions. We don't need $800,000, $500,000 homes. We need $200,000 to $350,000 homes that millennials and Gen Zers can afford to buy.
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
We don't need more apartment buildings. Rents are not outrageous because there's plenty of inventory available. So you can afford to rent. But this idea that we're in a recession is completely ridiculous. We're not in a recession. And I think it's really interesting that there's a belief that people aren't spending money. People are spending money. There's no question about that. Is it as easy as it has previously been to buy a car? It's not. But the problem is we gave everybody mortgage loans. We gave everybody car loans.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody ain't able. Everybody should not be getting mortgages and car loans. We're in the position we're in largely in those two sectors because of COVID. Real estate before that, but the car buying market broke during COVID.
Well, and I think you're exactly right. Like you got to have it. You got to have one or the other, right? So you got to for the economy to thrive, right? To be in the absolute best place it can be. You have to have the people with money. So like again, I don't believe the middle class exists, but the upper middle class, the folks who, are making $250 to $400 a year in a household, those folks have to be able to transact in the major categories. Or if they can't transact, you got to have the lower end, right? You got to have the 200 to 400 that can buy the starter home to power more people. So then we can get transactions happening over here, which then what happens? Those people who sold their home now can go in and upgrade, right? But we don't have either of those right now, and it's hard to buy a car. So where do you go? It doesn't, there's nowhere to go other than, hey, we have to find a way to create a more attractive buying market. We have to find a way to bring down the prices. Essentially, we have to find a way to cut the greed out of the market. And there's no good way to do that. I've never heard anybody come up with an answer as to how do you solve greed? I don't know either.
Yeah. Rob McClure, spending is the real issue, but we will crash before that changes. Yeah, and Ron also said many can't afford rent. Just live with parent. Rents are no, they're not.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that rents
with
are
all
terrible,
due respect,
man.
The average rent in this country is $1,700. And the unemployment rate is sub 5. I think it's 3.4.
Yeah.
People are working. The problem is, and I'll continue to say this, and I say this in this country, I say this about industry. I've said this about college football. We don't have a money-making problem. We have a spending problem. We spend too much money. We collect too much shit. We don't, like I went to a pottery class last week. Mrs. Monty and I went to this pottery class.
Yeah.
And we were talking to people at this pottery class whose kids live in their basement because they're trying to save to buy a house. So it's not that you can't afford the rent. You in this country right now can't afford to buy a house because we keep selling the bullshit story that we need more housing. We don't need more housing. We need affordable housing.
Right.
So everybody building 500,000, 800,000. I live in a neighborhood where you can't get into a new build for under 800,000. Now, I don't own a house like that. I own a $300,000 townhouse. But I live in a neighborhood where you can't get in here for under $500,000 anymore.
But look at your position, right? When you bought in the threes.
I bought
Now
under
you're
market
worth-
value, and I have a 3% mortgage rate.
So even though you could probably sell your place for, let's be conservative, right? For $450, conservatively, probably more than that.
I think I could probably get 500,000 today.
Right. So you could make 6 figures on your situation here.
Correct.
But why would you do that when the mortgage rates are where they are?
Because you can't afford to buy something else.
That's the problem.
You're looking at something, and the struggle is right now that the rental market is just affordable enough.
Mm-hmm.
We're at this point where the rental market is not really low or really high. It's just attainable enough. But we were in Los Angeles over the weekend. You can't afford to buy in Los Angeles. I cannot afford to buy a home in Los Angeles. You're talking about $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a month in mortgage. If you want to live in, which Southern California is amazing. And that's another story we love to tell. California is a shithole. It's not. It's not.
No, it's not.
And the problem is demand is not meeting the inventory. So real estate's broken. But my point is rents are not unattainable.
Mm-hmm.
Rents are not. Rent in Los Angeles is $3,000 a month. Rent in Utah is not $3,000 a month. It's about $7,000. You can get, I think the average rent in our country is $1,700 for 900 square feet.
Yeah.
I think that's the average in our country.
Yeah.
You know, like I think
what's tough is that I think people have trouble. So I agree that we have a spending problem, not a revenue problem, but I also think that people have a lot of trouble saying, hey, you know, what's my situation? Like whenever I talk to someone about like this stuff, I'm always like, hey, your life is a picture, right? You're looking at this picture and you're saying, okay, like, what do we got here and what do we got there? And how can I make this picture what I want it to be? So if your job isn't paying you enough, right? If you feel like, hey, I'm not making enough money. Okay, well, what are my adjustables, as I call them? Hey, like, how can I save on my subscriptions? How can I save on, you're not really going to save on gas if you have a commute. The gas is what it is. But like, how can I save on gas? Or how can I save on food, right? How can I save on things that I don't necessarily need? How can I dial that back? And I think people don't want to do that. They don't want to have that conversation.
I agree.
Instead, what they want to do is live in their parents' basement. And I say this all the time. I have no problem with you living in your parents' basement into your late 20s. In today's market, in today's conditions, I think that's fine. But once you get much past that, I think we got to have a conversation about like, hey, you got to start making sacrifices and decisions about what you're doing. Like we can only piggyback for so long.
Yeah.
We can only sit here and be like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to live in my parents' basement to try to save for a home I'm never going to be able to buy because market conditions make it so I can't buy it. Like you might be working your ass off and you might be doing everything you can do. Now is not the time to buy a home. Now is the time to rent and let other people have the liability on their credit and to their name. Cool. Great. Let them worry about that. Like I'm happy. Like I used to be a big supporter of, hey, well, if you rent, you're just giving your money away. And while that still might be true, I'm also not cool with taking on liability at 7 or 8% for 30 years. That's not good.
The issue in the real estate market continues to be interest rates and the attainability of money, your ability to get a loan. The hard part is we have a lot of people that want to overreach. They want to be house poor, and I don't understand it. I would not buy a house right now. I think you're asking to be upside down and stuck for at least 7 to 10 years.
Long time.
I would not buy a house. I would not advise you to do that.
Yep.
But I also think we have to stop giving loans to people who shouldn't be getting those loans. Again,
we come back to the same problem I brought up, greed. Why are we doing that? Because we're greedy.
Yeah.
We're hungry.
Yep. Boston Mapes. Everybody buying a home right now is asking the owner to cover the interest difference. Well, I don't think it's cover the interest difference. What it is you have somebody that wants to sell their home and you have somebody that wants to buy their home. So what is happening is you have a buyer telling a seller, you need to give me $25,000 in concessions so that I can get a lower rate from my mortgage company. And it's interesting in that the only way mortgage companies will do that usually is through an adjustable rate. And I think the other thing that's really interesting is first-time buyers don't have to take mortgage insurance right now. But if the rate is currently 5%, their rate's going to be 8% because they don't have PMI. Private mortgage insurance.
Come on now.
So it's all about the rate because that's going to determine your payment. But this buy down idea, it's part of the problem. Your house isn't worth what you're asking it to be worth because you're trying to buy a different pad. So you need it to sell at that level.
Right.
But the real estate's broken right now. And I think that if you can't understand that anything inflation right now is greed, like if you're blaming the president for inflation, your head's in the sand.
Yeah.
You know, like all these people that are blaming Joe Biden for convicting Donald Trump, your head's in the sand.
Yeah. But I also think we got to be smarter, man. Like I think that I just think we're past the time. Like the living in your parents' basement thing to me is a sign or a message of like where people are at mentally. Like anytime I hear someone say, hey, well, like, hey, I'm 22. I'm still living with my parents. I'm going to save money and I'm going to do this. Okay, cool. You're 22. Makes sense. Like totally get it. I'm good with that. But I can't support the idea of, hey, we're entering our prime earning years at 25 plus, right? 27, 28, 29. Like we're starting that part of our life. You have to get on with it. It tells me you don't value the sense of control that you have over your life. Because I don't care who you are. If you're living in your parents' basement, you're not living your life.
Well,
like, it's just part of it.
You also have to understand that buying a house is not the windfall it used to be.
Yeah, it's not the American dream anymore, dude.
It's not.
Like, it's not. Like, buying a house is not it.
And that's okay. That's okay. I think we try to put people in to pigeonhole people. But stop being a buyer on this garbage that we're in this horrible economy and stop. That's fabrication.
Yeah.
The economy is not terrible. We have real issues in different sectors. I think real estate obviously is one of those, but if you think people aren't making money and if you think people aren't out spending money, you are absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The full flights to and from LA.
Look at, and that's what I'm talking about. Tough to get restaurant reservations, tough to get airline reservations, tough to get tea times.
Yeah, dude, I go to Mastro's in Newport over the weekend, bro. Dude, and I know it's Newport, right? Okay, hey, high affluent area. Okay, I'm down with some of that. Dude, I'm talking about like the high end of high end vehicles in this parking lot. Like it wasn't just like nice Suburbans and stuff. Like I'm talking about like over the top nice, like Ferrari, Rolls Royce, like, and I know it's Newport, right? So, hey, grain of salt, like millionaire, billionaire guy. Okay, cool. But usually when you go to Mastro's, you'll see a couple of those, right? Like, hey, yeah, there's a couple, bigwigs in here. Okay, cool. But I'm talking about like 70, 80% of this parking lot was that. And I go, I go, we stay on Balboa Island and I'm walking around Balboa Island just through the shops and I'm looking at all these people dude, these people are good. Like the shops are full. Like they're having a freaking parade on Sunday. Like people are chilling, man. I'm telling you. And I get it. It's a nice part of California, but it still affects those people. If we were struggling, if we were like, hey, if the country was in a bad place and times were rough and we're in a recession, people wouldn't be out here doing this. People would be chilling at their house.
You'd be able to get
like,
airline tickets. You'd be able to get.
Yeah.
Again, I look
Come
at.
on.
I think golf is
Another great example.
Do you know how hard it is to get tee times? Do you know how difficult it is, no matter where you go, to get tee times?
Get tee times, bro. You try to go to the driving range at 5 o'clock on a weekday, it's packed. Good luck getting a spot.
But I also I think golf is very everyman. It's a very common man sport. And it's one of the most emerging sports still in the country. And I look at the fact that places like PXG were sold out Saturday, Sunday. For the next 10 days, I think they were sold out of fittings.
Wild.
People are out spending money on stuff. People are out. They're doing their thing. Like it's interesting to me that I drove PCH. And all of the beach spots are full. All of the parking lots are full. Like people are out. People are not just sitting around. And it's really interesting to me that was really eye-opening for me, my travel experience this weekend. Because I got bumped out of a first world problem, but I had a first-class ticket. And I got bumped out of first class on Sunday on the way home temporarily.
Yeah, how was that?
It is what it is. It's the process that Delta was going through. But why was that? Because there was so much demand for that flight from Long Beach to Salt Lake City. There was a ton of demand for that flight. Dude, people have money. People are out spending.
Yes.
People are out doing. So,
Good talk.
Anyway, there you have it. Mike Smith says hard time getting tee times, first world problems, but it's not first world problems.
No, it's not actually.
Golf is very much a everyman sport. Golf is very much
everybody's playing golf, dude. Like everybody.
And no matter what, like here in Salt Lake City, it's what I love about Canyons. Canyons is super affordable, but what does that mean? That a lot of people play it. Like, that Canyons is our home golf course here. Like, you can go to Canyons, which is resort style golf, in Park City, in the mountains. And you can play that for the same cost as golf courses in the valley. Like, it's crazy how attainable a course like Park City is, like Park City Mountain at Canyons Golf. Totally attainable.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous. It's amazing. And they're packed, bro. Like Park City Municipal or Mountain Dell is not a great course, but you look at, like, I have trouble getting tee times at night during the week. I usually play 2-3 rounds, 9 holes at about 6:30 at night. Having trouble getting tee times this week.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Everybody cannot afford to play. Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. I think
you're just in your own little world over there, man. With
yes,
all due respect,
you can.
I'm not trying to rip you. I'm just saying, dude.
You can. Do you understand that you can play a round of golf for $20?
Literally.
You can go to
Dick's
River Oaks.
Sporting Goods. Go to Dick's Sporting Goods. Get yourself a $100 set of clubs, a strat, like a entry level clubs.
You can get on Amazon.
Yeah.
And you can buy a generic Callaway set of clubs for $150, $200.
Cool. So
including a bag.
You got your bag, you got your clubs, you got your balls, and now a tee time's $20. Driving range is free. Some places you got to buy the balls for the range. Great. Like what are we talking about? Like, people are playing, man.
How much did you pay for your clubs and golf shoes, Monty? Well, I also buy the nicest stuff, though.
Yeah.
My golf shoes, I have 5 pairs of golf shoes. Golf is not a hobby for me. Golf is like the thing for me. But if we're talking about the average Joe and attainability
and like the economy,
barrier of entry and the economy, do you really think golf's unattainable when you can't get tee times across the country?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm being serious. Go to your local golf course and see how easy it is. Right now, if I book, and I'll just put there, River Oaks has an app.
Course right by us. 10
Right
minutes
by
from our
us.
house.
If I try to book a tee time today,
And again, this is a nice course, but not anything crazy. Like just a course around the valley.
they have 4 tee times available. They were in the 6 o'clock hour, 6:10, 6:20, 6:40. The next available time is 1, 1:30, and 1:50.
So oddball times when most people are working.
After that, sold out. Wednesday the 5th, tomorrow, 6:40 a.m., 11:30, 11:40, 12:30, and 1:50.
So again, when people are working.
And then I can get 4:40 after that. Like, people are out playing golf, man.
They're spending money.
And it's because you're only paying at peak hours, sure. Like, I'm going to Kauai. I'm playing, but I'm playing on world-class resorts. I'm paying $200 a round for that.
Right.
On the regular, I up at Canyons, you're paying $45 or whatever it is.
But the $200 round course, whether it's on an island or in Vegas or in LA, those courses are delivering you a premium experience. And I got news for you. They're still packed.
Sold out for weeks.
So don't tell me, and I love you, Mike. I'm not trying to make this personal, bro, but don't tell me people are not playing golf. Don't tell me that people aren't spending money, because they are.
Well, but you're also saying everybody in West Virginia does not play golf because, well, you're also in one of the poorest region or one of the poorest states in the country in West Virginia. You have, I mean, you have a lot of people that are struggling just to find food in West Virginia. So I don't disagree with you.
You should look at the numbers, bro. It's not true that less play than they do. Maybe in West Virginia, but I'm telling you, for most of the country, there are loads of people playing golf.
And it's crazy the kind of person that's playing. Like, I played golf Friday or whatever day it was, Thursday night.
Yeah.
I played golf with a guy, or maybe it was Tuesday night. I don't fucking remember. Anyway, I played a round of golf with a guy last week who is a forklift driver at a warehouse at the airport and picked up the game last October. And why is that? Because he bought his son, his grandson, his son's son. They went into Play It Again Sports, this resale store. They went into Play It Again Sports to get football equipment. And this guy was like, well, I hadn't played golf in 20 years. He's 56 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a full set of golf clubs for $100. And he said, I bought a bag of used golf balls. And he's like, I haven't looked back. And I've been playing since October. That's how readily available golf is.
Yeah.
And it used to be golf was like snobby guy sport.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, I have never seen more 10, 12. Thursday night at Glenmore in South Jordan, I played with 2 23-year-old kids who just picked it up like 2 years ago, graduated college, and was working at a phone bank. And was like, they had a golf tournament. So I went to work and raise money at the golf tournament. And I started playing golf at that golf tournament. Have never looked back.
Yeah. Because there's nothing like it.
There's nothing like it. And now it's more affordable.
Yeah.
Because you can get clubs, the proliferation of affordable clubs are everywhere. Like, it might be strong saying the common man is playing golf.
Oh, I think,
but dude,
no, I think they are.
Golf. And you guys, I think you probably know this. I play conservatively 4 or 5 rounds a week. Like, I'm playing tonight, I'm playing Wednesday, and I'm playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm not the common man. I play all the time. But I play with the common man almost every time I play during the week. Almost every single time. Guys that can golf, guys that are terrible at golf, guys that are new to golf, guys who have golfed their whole life. I got my ass handed to me by like a 60-year-old dude last week. He's been playing forever. Golf is very much common, man. Wow, it's very late. I lost track of time. There you go. The Monty Show. As always, presented by our friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. Summer's out, folks. There's a lot of people on the road. Be careful driving. Almost got murked the other day. Oh, man, we rented an electric car in L.A. We got to talk about that tomorrow. Yeah. Almost got murked in my fully electric car over the weekend. Hated it. You get in a car accident, no matter where you listen to this show, get to theadvocates.com, where you never pay a penny to talk to the advocates, because you don't pay the advocates unless and until they win your case. So there's no consultation fees, no big retainers. Talk to an attorney live online 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. Tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.